I'm making this video to give you an idea on how to um, create a template that can do multiple overlays. So I'm in a file right now, got some terrain model for some existing ground, I've got a horizontal alignment, I've got active vertical alignment out here. And I'm in Power Inroad Select Series 4, by the way. Well, I'm going to start by creating a template. So I'm in a blank file. I'm just going to come in here and do a new template. I'm going to call this template Find Lowest Point on Surface. So we're going to use this as part of our minimum milling tool. So I'm going to come out here, add a new component. I'll just do unconstrained. We'll call this one existing surface. And for the feature, choose something like existing road pavement. So that'll be fine. And I just place some points out here. Go ahead and turn apply affixes on and set my steps here in dynamic settings. Alright, so new unconstrained. Alright, there we go. Don't need a closed shape. Just going to place those points out there in the view, then I'll use point properties to set their location. So constraint 1, I'll do a horizontal with hinge. I'll rename that just a moment to center line. Value of -12. And I'm going to name that point left edge of pavement. And then I'm going to do a slope from the center line of 2%. Rename the middle point center line. And for that right point, rename it to right edge of pavement. So just a real simple template to get the idea across. Alright, got something that might resemble the surface of a roadway. Alright, I'll go ahead and save that template. Alright, let's extrude it along our 3D geometric path. So I'm going to create a corridor along that alignment. The name is test. There we go. Now for the template, we'll use that one we used, or that one that we just created. Find lowest point on surface. Start at the beginning and at the end of the alignment. Drop interval of 10 is fine. Alright, so we've got our corridor created. I want to go ahead and set the design stage to final. Get all of our template drops in there. Okay, so if we look at a cross-section view of this corridor, we'll see that that corridor is just following along with our vertical alignment out here. But we have a tool called Overlay Vertical Adjustment. And I'm going to use that tool to make this template follow whatever the lowest point on the surface is. So the prompt says locate corridor. Choose my corridor out here. For the vertical name, I'll name it find lowest point on surface. Start station will start at the beginning and we'll go to the end. Backbone thickness, I'm going to set that to 0 so I don't have to worry about any thickness in that template because it's just simple lines. Minimum mode, I'm going to make sure that it's set to minimum milling, so I'm finding the lowest point along my surface. my range points. I'm going to set that to left edge of pavement and right edge of pavement. For the existing ground range, I'll just match what's in my template range. Examine all cross-section points. And maximum vertical difference of 0. Let that process, and we see here in the profile view that it created a vertical alignment for us. And that would be a center line where it's finding the lowest point in the ground for our template. So if we come back to our corridor, let's change the profile. So active profile false, profile name, let's use find lowest point on surface. Alright, so it is. So we can see in our cross-section view, it's finding the lowest point on surface, and in this case it was out here on the right-hand side. So we can tell that that is working correctly. So we got our vertical alignment created. So let's go ahead and create our templates for all the overlays. So I'm going to go back to my Create Template tool, and I'm going to make a copy of this one and paste it, and we'll call this first overlay. I'm going to make a template for each overlay. Make it active. Right click out in the view. I'm going to do a new overlay component. For the name, I'll just call it first overlay. Feature bottom mesh is fine. It's going to give me a brown colored line. I'm going to make all of my use features that give me different colors. That way we can easily see the difference in the different templates. In the template that you make, you probably want to choose something that corresponds to a feature where you could use it for component quantities like concrete or something like that. For the top option, we're going to tell it to follow highest, and for the bottom option, we're going to tell it to follow the surface. I'm just going to come out here and place a few points, and then I'll set their final position with constraints. So for left hinge, we want to have a horizontal value of 0 from the left edge of pavement. Select apply, and we want a vertical constraint from our left edge of pavement of 3 inches. Click apply. Close. Let's go ahead and do the next one. I'm just going to go ahead and delete both of those constraints and then add a full constraint from that point. So we'll do 0 in the horizontal, 0.25 in the vertical. Delete those constraints. Add full constraints from the right edge of pavement. And I'm going to do 0 in the vertical or horizontal and 0.25 in the vertical. So that's 3 inches thick. Alright, if we go test that, looks like it's behaving appropriately. Let's save it. And let's apply that template to our corridor. So come in here, choose a different template. Let's do first overlay. There we go. We can see. Let me adjust that vertical exaggeration a little bit, make it stand out better. There we go. So what it's doing is telling us that's the only portion that would create. The rest of the existing ground is above that 3 inches. So we give us something over here and then over here. Alright, so that looks okay. Let's go on to the next template. Let me go back to my Create Template tool, copy the first overlay, paste it, make it active, and rename it. We'll call it second overlay. Alright, let's create another overlay component. Name it second overlay. Feature, I want to do something It gives me a nice color. I'm going to do struck wall. It'll give me a nice yellow color. For the top option, I'm going to tell it follow highest. Bottom option, follow highest, and a component depth of 3 inches, so 0.25 feet. I'll just place a few points out here. And let's delete these constraints. Add some full constraints. And do it for all of these. Okay, we test that out. All right, looks good. Save that. Let's change our template. All right, so we can see it's telling us where it's going to build. Okay, let's go on to the next template. Let's see, let me cancel that. I want to copy this, and we'll make it active and rename it third overlay. Okay. This component will have the name third overlay. We'll give it a feature. We'll do grade fill. It's a nice green color. Tell it to follow highest. Component depth of 0.25. Place our lines out here. Delete our constraints. Add some full constraints. Alright, so we've got that made. So now we've got a template that has 3 lifts that are 3 inches thick each. If we test that out, alright, it looks good. Let's save it. Let's come out here, change our template to third overlay. So it looks like it's finding it right. Alright, so we've just created those templates. Now the reason that we created those templates individually for each of the overlay sections is so that we could go through and create terrain models. So what I'm going to do now that I've got my using the template third overlay, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to set my design stage to final top mesh so I can create a terrain model from that. And you can see I've got a few gaps out here, and that's because there's places where my components don't make it up to the surface. So if I change change that view so we end up with a place where you may have a place where it doesn't quite make it to the top. All right, let's create a terrain model. So I'm going to come here to my terrain model tools. I'll do create from elements. I'm going to click on my corridor. Feature type would be break lines. For edge method, I'll do remove slivers. Oh, I need to make sure my name set the name to third overlay surface. Feature definition existing triangles. Maybe design triangles would be a better option. There we go. All right, it created my terrain model. So now I've got a terrain model from that third overlay. All right, let's go on and choose the second overlay. What we're going to do is create a terrain model for each of our templates. So second overlay. We'll create a terrain model from that. So this name, we'll just call it second. Overlay. And we want it to be break line feature, remove slivers. And there we go. We've created another terrain model. All right. Let's change this element template back to the first overlay. Create a terrain model. Let's make sure I set the name right. Okay, we have created 3 terrain models. You see them in here. First, second. Looks like I didn't quite get the name in there for the third overlay, but it's there. Easy to change the name if we need it. So there you go. There's a way to create your template to have 3 different 3-inch lifts, and you can create a terrain model from each of those templates.